Welcome to the first or pilot episode of whatever this movie club podcast ends up being. Today is August 29th, 2023, and we are currently 199 days away from the release of Dune Part 2, which was delayed recently.
Yeah.
My name is Dylan Olive, and I'm with my co-host, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Caden Keats.
Yeah. We have, I guess, both of our socials we'll put in the description. This is something that we both, I guess, just kind of wanted to do and thought would be fun, so...
Yeah. I think we both wanted to do movie discussion podcasts, and we kind of have similar taste.
I think it's so fun. I love listening to people talk, and I can talk plenty. Lord
Great
knows podcasts aren't about having something interesting to say.
Oh, God, no. No.
Yeah,
no one would listen to them then.
Of course not.
They would read books.
Yeah. It's like radio shows. They just sort of put them on because they have to.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I guess starting off this first episode, we figure it would be formatted in a talking about movie news and then talking about whatever... movie we have per episode recommended from a previous episode to talk about,
right?
And discuss. So it'll be like a movie club thing, so you can participate, and it creates a sense of community. Anyway, with movie news, I guess I already mentioned the Dune Part 2 delay. Did you watch Dune Part 1? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big sci-fi fantasy person, so I think I read the book and I watched the movie and I liked it a decent amount. Yeah, I'm not a big Denis Villeneuve fan. No, I refused, since I'm an even bigger David Lynch person. Okay. I just can't even put myself through that, because, he disowns it and everything.
I haven't read the book. I do want to read the book because I watched Part 1 when it came out in theaters, and it was fun and like kind of interesting, but I really don't remember a lot of it. And I have plenty of patience with slower movies or movies with a lot of dialogue, obviously, but for whatever reason, it didn't really connect with me. I remember bits and pieces here and there. I remember like he puts his hand into the box that fucks him up, and he has the special blue eyes, which is those are hilariously
like junky eyes, basically.
Yeah. What was the book originally a metaphor for?
Oh, it's like
specific?
Everything. It's like colonialism and imperialism, and then it's also like Christianity and religion, and it's like crazy thing.
Yeah. I guess colonialism and Christianity sort of tie together pretty accurately in history. Yeah, because also I'm aware, like, as the story goes on, his character sort of becomes more clearly not a great hero. Anyway, regardless, whatever. I don't know if there's spoilers. Also, this is part 2 of a trilogy. Am I correct in saying that? There's going to be a part 3 as well, which is wild. I didn't know that, but I guess they really want to do it justice.
Yeah, so I've only read the first book, so I haven't read any of the sequels, but I do know that the second one kind of closes out the story the first one sets up, and then 3 to 5 is like kind of its own thing and goes crazy. There's like a talking worm.
I had no idea there were that many.
Yeah, there's more, but Herbert died and his son wrote a bunch of like cash-in stuff.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, people hate those. That's all I know about them.
Well, that's unfortunate, but almost as unfortunate as how fucking greedy the CEOs are that they won't just pay their writers and actors properly, and
then
we're getting delays like this. Yeah. I mean, of course they they know what they're doing. Whatever. It happened before.
Well, I mean, it's worse.
Yeah, it's not like I can really do anything. I mean, I don't know. Is there a way? Because like it all just sort of seems like so like far off in its own realm.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I can't imagine there's anything to do. I guess, like, I know people are, like, not seeing studio pictures, like, that's a big thing, but I also don't know how much that will actually impact stuff. And I think that not going to see movies in theaters is just feeding the fire of streaming, so, like, it's really, like, a catch-22.
Yeah, that's true. That is. Plus, I don't know how many people really, like, know or even care about this. You know, like, obviously everyone online is showing support, or most people online are showing support, but I feel like the general public is just sort of, who cares about it? It's kind of hard to blame them for that, because they don't, you know, the general public is watching Meg to the Trench,
right?
Which I didn't see.
I also did not see that. I don't think it looked great. I think it looked incredible. That's the problem. I didn't want to see a movie that looked that good.
Right.
You know.
Anyway, for other films coming up, there was just released the first trailer for The Killer, David Fincher's next film.
Right. What are your thoughts on Fincher in general?
In general, I think he is not overrated, but also not, like, one of the best directors of all time, but still, like, a very, very competent, like, an incredibly competent director, especially for his lane, and has also made, like, some of my favorite movies, like a couple of, like, real bangers. Have you ever read the manga series or watched the anime Monster?
No, I've
is that Kurosawa.
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's so
I've heard
brilliant.
of it. I want to.
It is a masterpiece. That one, and also 20th Century Boys and Pluto and everything by that author. I haven't read Billy Bat or Asadora. Anyway, regardless, I bring that up because when I watched Seven for the first time recently, when I was watching it, I was like, this is literally just the plot of Monster. And I mean, not literally, but it's crazy. And it came out, like, I think 2 years before Monster started. So that's wild to me. Anyway, boy, I love cinema. Yeah, Fincher's cool. I don't know. What's your, like, relationship to his work like?
I have a weird because, like, I'm very much like a 70s movie person. That, like, most of my favorite movies are from the 70s, and I feel like he's so much of a 90s director. But, like, I really love Zodiac and Fight Club. Those are my two favorites. And then like everything else that I've seen, it's fine. You know, I can take or leave. Fight
Club is, like, the definitive, I think, 99 film. Have you heard about that concept of, like, the 1999 movie?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Eyes Wide Shut and Magnolia are, like,
those ones are also stellar
for me.
I guess I'll explain for the audience. 1999, it was a great year for movies, but it had a lot of movies about people in, like, a system and, like, trying to break out of their normal everyday life. Shit like The Matrix and Fight Club and Office Space and whatever else I can't think of. Being John Malkovich.
Definitely. I think Eyes Wide Shut definitely follows that too.
Lots of great movies that year. For me, Fight Club and Gone Girl are definitely my two favorites. But yeah, he's got a lot of good stuff, and I'll probably watch this in theaters if I get the chance. Sure. That'll be in October. Michael Fassbender's good. It looks like I don't know. There just, like, isn't any catch to this trailer. It seems like there's no.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's like fully relying on the name of the lead actor and director here, because, like, with something like Oppenheimer or Barbie, yes, a lot of people are going out to see it because it's a Nolan film or a Gerwig film, but also because it's a biopic of a very famous person and based on a very famous IP, you know, whereas this, it's just The Killer, so it really is, you know, how far that name is going to take him.
And I think they're giving it limited release, right? So, because it's Netflix, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's always weird because, like, Netflix will greenlight stuff like Glass Onion or whatever that aren't these IP, even though it's a sequel. They're not IP movies, but then they'll never, like, back them. They'll always just be like, all right, here's the movie of the month. Yeah, they just, like,
kind of threw up, that's a wrong choice of words. They'll just, like, throw some movies up onto their site, like, was Ghost Story A24 or was that Netflix?
That was A24.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they'll do something like I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which is, like, one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life, but is also like it's like the new Charlie Kaufman movie, so like of course nobody's gonna, or that is not something that just like it also wouldn't make money if it just went to theaters probably. Anyway, yeah, they seem to be running out of money because like before The Irishman was made possible by Netflix, but now Killers of the Flower Moon is being made possible by Apple. So I guess Apple worth more than Netflix? I would imagine they have a lot more money.
They have
than
to
them.
be because they're like they're not just streaming. I think Netflix is probably the biggest just streaming service, but I can't imagine they're
because Disney isn't just streaming and like whatever. What other streaming services are there?
I mean,
HBO Max,
which is a studio. That's just Warner Brothers.
That's a whole thing. Anyway, Hulu, Apple has way more money to burn on like for art films and big grand productions like that. I guess I don't really have anything much more to say about The Killer if you don't.
Yeah, no, I think it looks pretty good. I always do like a straightforward thriller, and I think it's cool that we're getting one from a major director and star. Yeah,
it is exciting. The next big trailer to mention is Rebel Moon, which is a film that Zack Snyder is directing that is, I think, one of a two-part duology.
They're calling it an event, is what I heard.
Oh, okay. Weird phrasing. We'll see how that goes. But the story behind this, basically, if you're not familiar already, is that Snyder went to Disney with a concept for a Star Wars story that would be like a sort of spin-off thing like Rogue One, and then Star Wars said, no, we don't want that. And then he was like, great, I'll make it myself. And it's this really genius original idea about like these, what if there was a whole bunch of warriors fighting to protect the innocent people who are just simple farmers. I don't think anyone has made that movie before.
No, definitely. Like I'm just imagining what if the peasants help band together with the warriors. And maybe they help to fight off these space bandits
solidarity.
Yeah. It's real original stuff from Zack Snyder.
For sure.
Nation's finest original storyteller.
A lot of people seem to be very excited about this, and I think it's the only Zack Snyder film that I would be excited about, because it's like I haven't seen anything else from him that I'm a fan of. It's just sort of well, that's a fun story behind it. I would like for it to be good, because I would like for there to be a good original sci-fi movie out that's successful and fun, and I guess maybe if it takes risks, then that would be some of why Disney wouldn't want it associated with Star Wars, because that you really have to follow a strict rule book, so it seems partly put in place by the fans, partly put in place by the brands. But also, Twitter gets excited about all sorts of random shit.
Yeah, the Snyder people on Twitter are insane. I am excited for it just because, I know Indiana Jones was Spielberg not getting to make James Bond. So,
oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Right, so, I'm hoping that that's this with Star Wars, but then also, I'm not so, I don't... Snyder is no Spielberg. I'll say that.
Yeah. It's... That is a very different comparison. Anyway, I don't really have much to say about that. I just think it's kind of neat, and I feel like I should bring it up.
I mean, it looks great. The visuals look pretty great, especially for, compared to Star Wars and Marvel stuff right now.
Compared to his other stuff, it has... or actually, wait, who's producing it? I want to look up... distributed by Netflix. Production companies, the Stone Quarry,
which looks like just his production company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think it's a Netflix original thing, and then he's,
I guess I wonder if DPing that's going to be I could see that being one of their first or one of their few big theater runs for Netflix original movies.
Yeah, my worry with that is that I think those movies will do well. Even better on streaming in terms of numbers, not money. And just because,
most movies would, really. but whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say something like I'm thinking of ending things. Probably.
Okay. Yeah.
No, that's not true. I haven't seen that. I should see that. So.
Yeah, we should. But fuck, that's so good. Anyway.
Yeah. I love Synecdoche. That's like one of my favorites. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. There's not much more to say on that one, I don't think.
Yeah, good movie. Anyway, the last little bit of movie news, and I say that with a question mark because I don't really know if you can call it that, but it was just something that was like sort of popping up on my Twitter feed a whole bunch. Follow me on Twitter, by the way, if you haven't. And it's an interview that Letterboxd did with Park Chan-wook, the director of a whole bunch of movies, one of the best working directors, in my opinion.
I think one of the best ever, I'm going to be honest.
Seriously, he is that good. And he was reading different reviews that users had posted for Oldboy, and they were all sort of just like those one-line Letterboxd joke reviews that people are not very fond of on the internet. So, a lot of people were calling this very cringe and lame and weird, and I can't tell if like it matters or like.
I think so. From what I know about Park, he's a very reserved guy. Like from all the interviews I've seen from him, so like he didn't seem that much different in this interview than he had in interviews where he's talking about Hitchcock for like 20 minutes straight. Like I think he seemed to be fine with it.
Yeah, sure. It could also just be like I saw some people bring up like it's an image thing where it makes like Letterboxd look like a bad website or something like that. But I mean, it's hard to imagine.
It is a bad website.
Yeah, I mean, we both purchased $50 a year fucking subscriptions to the Patreon things to change posters and whatnot, and I like using it, but it is like. It's not supposed to be prestigious, I guess.
Yeah, you know, like a prestigious website is RogerEbert.com because those are professional critics. Like if you want a professional critic, you don't go to Letterboxd or IMDb or whatever.
And here's a pro tip for everyone listening who uses Letterboxd: is you can block people. I don't know why more people don't just block like Karsten and Brat and Lucy because they're the top reviews of everything. You can just block them. It's so easy to.
Yeah, it really is. The only person who, because like I don't really mind any of those people.
Yeah, nothing against those people. I don't have them blocked. In fact, I think I follow them. But
the only person, and I don't want to name this person specifically, but this is an account that will post a review that is just pretty much like. This is like if Wes Anderson made this every single time, and it's the top review, and that's the only one that I've like blocked because I don't really get annoyed at other people talking. Like, but that one, yeah.
Do you think that blocking someone is like an important thing or like something that like means something valuable? Because I'll block very, very flippantly online. I've blocked plenty of Twitter accounts just for saying something mildly annoying, and I also have the extension that automatically blocks anyone with a blue check mark that I don't already follow. And like there have been a couple Letterboxd accounts that I've seen make like some takes that I think are kind of dumb, and so I'm like, whatever, I'll just block you. And I and then sometimes I'll see people talk about how like when they get blocked by someone, they'll be like, "Ha, I won. You blocked me. You got mad." And it's like,
that's just like coping. Like that's.
I don't know. You know, it's. I never know if I'm losing something or if I'm being the bigger person by not saying anything. It's a lose-lose, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I only block people if they're like assholes. Like that's usually what I do. Like. There's an account that I actually really like, who else shout out? Lydia Roberts, who I honestly don't agree with a lot of the time, but I think she's a very good critic.
Oh, totally.
Like,
totally.
Like that's, you know, even if I think some takes like, she gave Harakiri 2 stars, which, you know, I think is crazy, but listen, I think as a critic, like, everyone has an opinion.
Yeah, totally. You know? Fantano gave Dark Twisted Fantasy a 6 and Yeezus a 5, but
yeah,
you know, I still watch his videos sometimes. Anyway, that leaves off that segment of just sort of general film discussion, and onto the full feature presentation that we will be discussing for this episode. That one being Oldboy from 2003 by the director Park Chan-wook, as mentioned earlier.
Yes.
An all-time classic that has recently been restored in 4K and re-released into theaters by Neon, which is also a really great company of distribution.
Yeah, they've won the last 4 Palms, like at Cannes, which is insane.
That's fun. I forget what's... Oh, I didn't see the winner from this year. I should watch that one when I get the chance. I don't know if
it's not out yet. It's coming out this fall, I think. It looks, which is Anatomy of a Fall is what it's called. So that's kind of...
Oh, yeah.
Looks great. They released a trailer.
I will check that one out when I get the chance. Anyway, yes, Oldboy. Classic movie. I get this will be a spoiler discussion.
Yeah, there's no way to talk about this one without spoiling it.
It is. Yeah, the most I can say without spoiling is that it is a crazy ass revenge movie.
And I think that's, as always, especially with this movie. I mean, depiction equals endorsement. I think we can all agree that Park Chan-wook agrees with everything that all the characters do on the screen right now.
Certainly.
Yeah, he's a big fan of them.
And oh wait, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I think even just like calling it a revenge story is like sort of selling it short, because I think when most moviegoers think of revenge stories, they think of like Taken or like some shit like that, because revenge as a concept is so almost annoyingly popular as like a theme in media and stories, at least what I watch, because like I've read Berserk and I've watched Vinland Saga, and I've read I'm trying to think of another manga that does revenge, Fire Punch, Hunter x Hunter, kind of. Anyway, regardless, it's so popular as a theme, and it always, for me at least, it always basically ultimately boils down to revenge bad. Revenge breeds more revenge. But I with think, this movie,
the only people to subvert it, or the only person I can think of at the top of my head, is like Tarantino, who's the people are getting revenge on literally the worst people in history, and so it's the type of thing where it's like, but that's maybe a little bit more of like an exploitation.
That's actually a great example, because I also think that revenge being revenge bad is also kind of like how a lot of war stories can be boiled down to war bad, except for Inglourious Bastards, which is I mean, yes, war is bad, but I think because that one's not even necessarily like this is people fighting people. This is like guys shooting Nazis, and so
there's one. I rewatched it last night. And there's literally one scene where someone is like, there's like the guy with the kid, and even they shoot him, and you're like, why was I feeling sympathy for this guy who's a fucking Nazi? Like like it's a very it's praxis. That's what it is.
Totally, and this film is also very violent, like a lot of Tarantino's. I guess you might be able to draw a comparison, but I would also imagine it's probably more inspired by other like Asian cinema. Who knows?
Regardless. I mean, I do know the relationship with Tarantino with this movie is that at Cannes he really wanted to give this the palm, and the jury was like, no, we're gonna give this I think the Grand Prix, so it got second place that year.
That's very funny. I had no. What else came out in 2003? Do you know off the top of your head?
I know the Palm winner that year, I think, was Fahrenheit 9/11, that 9/11 documentary that everyone hates.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. Which, like, that one hasn't... I feel like people have agreed Oldboy should have gotten it that year. Let me see what else came out that year.
Yeah, that was... I've got a list going of favorite movies from every year that I don't have public.
I mean, Memories of Murder came out that year, because there's that picture with Choi Min-sik and Song Kang-ho behind the scenes.
I was going to bring that up. It is very funny that those were both filming at the same time in the same place, and they both...
I mean, two, like, masterpieces, just... Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, when was the first time that you had seen either this film or anything by Park?
So, actually, pretty recently, I want to say late last year, maybe early this year, this was my first movie I saw from him. And since before this re-release, they took it off of all streaming, all rent or buy options. Like, you couldn't get it anywhere. So I torrented it in 480p, and it was, like, super choppy, and I was just like, I really want to watch this movie.
Nice.
And I was like, I kind of came out disappointed. I was like, this is just okay. Like, it's fun. When I saw it again in the theater, I was like, okay, I get this. This is a masterpiece, like, pretty perfect thriller. Yeah. So that was my first, and then I've since seen every single one of his movies. He's one of my favorite ever directors at this point.
Yeah, I still need to see, like, a couple of his. I need to see the Cyborg one and Stoker, and then also the series that he did, the Little Drummer Girl, that's, like, an American...
That's the one I haven't seen. He has a new series coming out, too, with Robert Downey Jr. as, like, 10 characters.
I saw that. It's crazy. Anyway, I brought that up, though, specifically because my relationship to this film goes way back. It was one of the first foreign films that I think I ever saw. I watched it when I was, like, way too young, probably. I think I watched it when I was, like, 10 or something originally, and then I rewatched it again when I was, like 14, and then, or 13, and then I haven't seen it for the past... for almost 5 years, so it was very fun to finally rewatch it, and it fully lived up for me, and I do want to see it again in theaters if I like get the opportunity to, or I don't know how long it's gonna be.
I think its run is already over. It was only a week.
Ah, shit.
But I'm sure there'll be, like, rep screenings after a certain point.
Regardless, I'll probably pick up a 4K Blu-ray if I get the chance. I tried to order one on online a while ago, and I got the European Blu-ray. Why the hell are those still being made regionally? That's so strange.
It's so
I need
dumb.
to get, like, a region unlocked 4K player, because I'm still playing them on the PS5 or PS4. Anyway, which doesn't even play 4K. You need whatever.
That's what I'm doing.
Yes, stellar film. I guess getting more into, like, the more details about it. Okay, guy is... Oh, also, did you know this was based on manga?
I did. I know that the twist isn't in the manga. That, like, it's very loosely, but it's the kind of revenge thing. And then Park read that and was like, okay, but why would he let him out? And that was the starting point for this. And the design of Odesu. That's obviously taken.
That's kind of hilarious, actually.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to write a story with a twist in it? I have. It's very difficult.
It is very difficult. I feel like I have. I mean, and especially, like, Park is kind of insane with his twists. Like, I mean, this one has a couple, and then The Handmaiden has, like, 15. But, yeah, he is just a master at pulling off a good twist.
He's totally a master. I also rewatched Decision to Leave recently, and seeing that one for the second time again, I loved it even more. I know that's your favorite of his.
Yeah, that's, like, one of my favorite movies ever.
I totally get why, because I think also for me this time watching it, it struck me how mature. How much he has matured as a filmmaker, not just in the way that, like, it's less, like, intense and crazy as some of his earlier movies, but also, like, the cinematography and the writing all has, like, come together on, like, the same wavelength. Whereas in his other films, it feels a little bit wilder, and I'm doing a thing with my hands where I'm, like, pushing out. It's
I get it from that visual.
You know what I mean?
I think since he finished the Vengeance trilogy, which he I think is kind of, like, mixed on as a director, from what I can tell. Like, he's kind of like, I'm very proud of all those movies, but also the legacy they've left is kind of weird. He made, like, Lady Vengeance onward, every single movie he's made has been a love story. I guess except Stoker, which is such an anomaly in his filmography. But starting with Thirst, he kind of developed, like, kind of a late style of very much making his typical crazy camera moves and stuff around very human stories. And I think The Handmaiden and especially Decision to Leave are like the culmination of that, where it's Decision to Leave is such like a perfect human story. Mm-hmm. Like it is just so emotional and so kind of like old Hollywood in a weird way.
Yeah, it's definitely got a lot of I don't even know if I can call it inspiration, but parallels that you could draw to Vertigo.
I.e., for sure, yeah.
Police falling in love with the suspect and going to a high place for a climax. Mm-hmm. And, but also it's not like it's like ripping it off or anything like that.
No, yeah.
And it does the like, two lost souls connecting, but they tragically can't be together in a very interesting and satisfying way, where so many other films just sort of use that as itself. But that's not what this discussion is about. Sorry, I feel like I've gotten off track here.
Yeah, we have. So,
Oldboy. Another thing about it that I noticed this time around that I mentioned that I did a letterboxd on my Letterboxd was the editing, which I know we mentioned the movie earlier, but it reminded me a lot of early David Fincher movies like Fight Club, where it's wild and a little bit crazy and also has CGI animals, which I totally forgot about that. There's literally just a shot of like a full human-sized ant on a train. Yeah. That was hilarious. I love it. But yeah, it has stuff like that here and there where it's a little bit like it is more over the top than his other films in a lot of ways, but also all so tight. I'm gonna look up who edited this, because all of his films are so like tightly edited. They're all so
it's some of the best edited. Like I think it's just I really struck me on a second viewing just like how much every single thing leads to the next thing. Like there's no time wasted. Even the slower moments and the conversational moments are still important for the entire film to work thematically, plot-wise, character-wise, whatever. Like everything adds up. Everything is entertaining and just quick, and like it's airtight. Okay, so it looks like Kim Sang-bum, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, apologies, is Park's regular editor. So he with him from Joint Security.
He also did Handmaiden and Decision to Leave. Okay, I see. I don't typically use IMDb as much. Anyway, I just pulled it up because I figured there'd be more information, and there is. What else was I going to mention? If I had to make one complaint about this film, which it's not a perfect film, I think that at least for me, the major, it's not necessarily a nitpick, because it's not something that is done poorly. It is just something that is, a little bit annoying if I think about it. Not because it's, illogical or that it's, a discrepancy in the plot. It is just... I'm not a fan of, hypnosis in films. Hypnosis, especially hypnosis that leads to amnesia. It's such a...
Yeah.
It is such a cliche that really feels like it could be used for anything. And it's hard to find a specific thematic purpose for it being hypnosis too, or I guess you could make the argument that it's he totally forgot about the act of telling everyone about Woo Jin's incestuous act, so then he makes
which
him
he didn't
forget
even know
about
was incestuous, which is so ironic.
So you could make that argument. It's a little bit lame, but for as much as it holds within the plot, I really don't mind.
Yeah. I mean, it never really bothered me, because I feel like this movie is so kind of Gothic and kind of Shakespearean or a Greek tragedy, and I feel like it's a very
great comparison,
pulpy kind of thing, and it works within the narrative. Yeah, it fits in for me. It never really bothered me. I do not like the the image of her standing over him, I do agree that's kind of like it just feels out of place. And I think where in the end the out of placeness is so perfect and like kind of haunting. In the beginning, it's like, wait, it's hypnosis, and they don't really go over it again. It's it does kind of break you out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And then also how it's used at the end, where it's not just the hypnosis happens, but it shows how it happens, and she like explains to him the monster in you turns around and leaves, and then you turn around without the burden of knowledge. I like how that is executed. That's cool.
Right. Yeah.
And also how they reuse that set, like in the image of himself. That's oh god, it's fucking so good. And them being in the snow, it leaves you at such a perfect moment of like, what is going to happen next, but you're still satisfied from the story that's all told.
And then so when it leads to the shot of, him smiling, and you don't really know if he remembers like what his deal is, and we just see mountains after that. It's like so cathartic and kind of haunting. It's very haunting. Like it
is. Yeah. It's like he is really just one of the most tragic like characters in movies. You were very on point with the comparison to like ancient tragedy.
I did like Odesu is Oedipus. Like that is the name, like the reason for the name. I do know that.
Oh fuck! Are you serious?
I believe.
Wait, what is the Oedipus complex? Is that like the wanting to sex your mommy?
Yeah. What happens is Oedipus like. He has to do like a certain amount of tasks, and then he has to like, he's told by the fates like, oh, you're gonna marry your mom and kill your dad, and then like he's like, I won't do that, and then he ends up marrying a woman and killing a guy, and then he finds out, oh no, it's his mom and he killed his dad, and then he stabbed his eyes out. That's and he cuts his tongue out. So
wow, I had no idea. That is such a good detail. That is,
and that was all Park from what I know. That's the manga's longer and more serialized. Interesting.
I would be interested in reading the manga.
Should we go through the plot synopsis, maybe?
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah. I was thinking of where to go next with this. Mm-hmm. Do you have that like just pulled up?
Well, I figured, like I do know the movie pretty well. I think it might be fun to do that from memory, kind of.
Right.
See if we can piece it together.
Mm-hmm. It opens. I'm pretty sure the first shot is the man that he like hangs over the side of the building, held by his tie.
He goes up and is like, "Let me tell you the story," and you get this like electronic, not EDM, but like this very like dun, 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 music.
Yeah, very like bass heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that especially reminded me of Fincher this time. That feels kind of like a Nine Inch Nails-y, not that Nine Inch Nails is new metal, but like new metal-y type thing, 90s thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then that's when it goes into his character introduction, which is hardly recognizable of the person that you had just seen as a drunk fuck-up dad on his daughter's birthday who wanted to... get her a gift and
bunch of jump cuts.
Lots of that was a good use of montage between
for sure.
And I'm glad it didn't like run on too long because it was a funny scene that like held its time well.
It's a good gag scene.
Yeah, good like non-serious scene that still like had everything that you needed to know, and because like you knew that it was going to get more serious. Anyway,
right.
He's in a police station. He tries to I forget what for. He's in the police station. I think like public urination or something like that.
I think it's just public drunkenness.
That probably is a law, isn't it?
And then he does try to piss in the police station multiple times.
I do remember that, yeah. He tries to call his daughter when he is knocked out, brought to a mysterious, what looks like a hotel room, and is kept there for 15 years. He doesn't know why. He doesn't know.
He watches a lot of TV.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about that. Like characterization of himself, because he is a fully grown man at that point, but it is like he goes through a like rebirth while imprisoned.
He's framed for the murder of his wife.
Right,
which is the big thing
to mention. His wife and
he sees 9/11, right? And then also no, because later on his daughter, he goes to like a salon and is like, have you seen? Or his daughter goes to the salon and is like, have you seen this person? And she's like, no, she's in America or something like that.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, because I think Woo Jin basically gave the daughter a new identity, and so she didn't know who Arisu was.
And so he spends his 15 years watching TV, which I think is also supposed to be a commentary on how maybe that's Park Chan-wook saying that like media makes people more like prone to, or not prone to violence, but more what's the word I'm looking for? Like less shocked docile? By violence.
Or desensitized?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Him saying that it makes people more desensitized to violence because, despite his... It is him with just himself and what is shown of the outside world, which is like violence in media, but it's also a lot of, he watches the news and there's one clip that shows like 9/11.
Mm-hmm. It's the news they choose is so weird. It's like 9/11, the World Series, like presidential elections.
Yeah,
it's like
turning the year 2000. But it's a lot of, like the news is a lot of violence and hate. So it might also just be like all of the worst of humanity sort of like funneled into one person.
And I think it's I don't know if this is intentional maybe, but I think we're supposed to believe that like part of his method to go about revenge, part of like the scene when he finally meets his daughter, spoiler, he's kind of playing his life like it's a movie. Like he has become a hollow person and is now trying to act out a revenge thriller. And we have Woo Jin who's like, I know what you're doing. I'm just going to use this to my advantage and fuck with you the entire time. Like that's, I think part of it is that he's playing his own character in the movie.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I think that's also something that I think people do like in real life is sort of think of reality through the media that they have consumed. Not obviously not like to this degree, but like people thinking about their relationship with other people the way that they think about like characters,
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Which like maybe I have done before in like passing, but it's something that like you sort of don't think about, but it's strange how that much I guess it's lack of social whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's the like, I think the typical thing with like, do movies cause violence? Do video games cause, like, how much does art affect us as people and the way we choose to believe? And I think there's a lot of people who like grow up on rom-coms or like, and that's how they view, like, this is what love should be. This is what relationships should be like when...
Certainly my understanding of, like, high school has only been made by, not even necessarily high school movies, but, like, parody of high school movies. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like knowing the tropes of what...
Yeah, I'm not going to prom or fucking, I don't know, getting wasted.
Yeah.
Who cares?
It was so weird when like no one dumped pig's blood on my head. I was expecting that because I saw that in the movies.
Like the whole. And, I was so excited. Mm-hmm. I got prom queen for nothing. I
got a plastic poncho and they didn't even drop pig's blood on my head.
Now I'm imagining like a Universal Studios attraction, where they have like a camera set up and like a green screen behind you to like have like a dinosaur or whatever, but instead it's just like
the carry.
a pig's blood that falls down on you. That would be a good attraction. I should make that.
That would be a very good attraction. I mean, and since it's De Palma, they need like the split diopter lens. Like for each one, they're like, move on, come on, we need to,
Yeah. Sorry, yes, okay, back to the fucking movie that we were talking about. Okay, when he does escape, he's hypnotized sort of abruptly by a woman who then just lets him out in a briefcase, which is never actually explained why it's in a briefcase. That's always struck me as a very cool image, but like
yeah. I mean, I know for the Spike Lee remake, which I haven't seen, and I don't want to see.
I don't really plan on it.
The posters were all that image. Like, it was the Josh Brolin, like, in a briefcase.
Yeah.
In the field. I think it's just supposed to, like, I don't know. I mean, I think reading this as, like, consumer's commentary strictly is maybe doing it a little bit of a disservice, but I think it is kind of, like, he's a little bit of a product now. He is being transported. He is, I think that could definitely be a reading of it.
Yeah, I see that. And then there's another comedic smash cut to like him sitting down on the roof with the other guy, and it's like the thought of what had just transpired while the viewer seeing that all unfold is a funny thought.
This movie is very funny for like as dark as it gets. It's a very funny movie.
I guess for all the people in the future who didn't see this in theaters, there was like a little PSA, I guess, before the film of Park coming on screen to say like, "Hey, this was what." I don't know exactly what he said. I kind of missed it because when I went to the theater to go there, I was also waiting on some Chinese food that I thought was going to be ready a long time ago. So then as soon as I grabbed it, I ran like 5 city blocks to the theater, and then I fell and smashed my head and knee, and I was bleeding for the movie, but I wiped it off in the bathroom, and I was eating Chinese food in the dark and like reaching my hand into the bag. Anyway, I missed the beginning of that PSA. What was he saying?
He was like... this movie is not for everyone. There's a lot of violence, a lot of nudity and sex. So that was his first thing, which is probably a good warning to have. The second thing was, it's a comedy, don't be afraid to laugh at it. And then his third thing was, if you like squids, this is probably not a great movie for you.
Yeah. There's a lot of fucked up... but also I'm glad it's not just like shock humor.
Yeah.
It's very shocking, but he's
a smart director, I think, and that's like the difference between just going around and being like and then actually
wouldn't
using
it be so
your things
crazy if I did this next?
Yeah. Oh my God. There's blood on the screen. Oh my.
Yeah. So that was that. I'm glad that there was, laughs in the audience. From that point, he gets some dope-ass sunglasses. He lets the guy fall.
He smiles.
Which is also a good comedic bit. Yeah. And then he... the next thing I remember...
sushi restaurant.
Oh, it was the sushi... Right, and then he knocks out there. Yeah. He goes to a sushi restaurant, which at the time is sort of arbitrary, which actually... I do kind of like that, like, all of these things that seem kind of weird and arbitrary and, like, movie-ish, where, like, you watch them in a typical movie and you're like, okay, I guess I'll suspend my disbelief that he would just randomly go to the sushi restaurant and she would just randomly bring him home. And that, like, those bits and pieces being what is the hypnosis, I think also makes the hypnosis, like, easier to... cope with as a plot device.
Do you know, that's really interesting, because, I mean, after a certain point, we're hypnotized too. Like, like, the hypnosis is believing in a lot of these movie things, and then when they pull the rug out from under you, it's like, no, this is much more sinister. This is, there's more to this. That's interesting. Huh.
It's a good way of putting it. Yeah, because once you are in for the ride, you're totally in.
100%.
Yeah, he eats live octopus. He asks for something alive to eat, which is very gross, and that was probably idea one, but also might be about, I don't know, he's like lost his humanity and wants to, you could see it as him like regaining life and being outside, but also he had just like
I think that
giving up a life from the guy on the roof. So
I feel like that is the one moment that I feel like is just kind of Park being like, all right, let's gross him out. Like I feel like there's not much there, and knowing like Choi Min-sik, the actor, was vegan.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I've heard that there's footage of him like apologizing to the squid. They did 3 takes, and like each time before it, he's like, "I'm sorry." So I think that might be a little bit like just kind of shock value. But I think it's creepy, and it's also kind of funny. Like, yeah, you know, yeah.
So that was, I remember when I was like a lot younger, that was one of the bits that like creeped me out the most, just because I don't like fucking fish and octopi and shit. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, when I went fishing with my grandfather, I didn't like putting the worm on the hook, let alone. Anyway, yeah, that was a fun bit. I guess destruction of life doesn't really matter when it's like an octopus, because they're gonna eat it anyway. I don't know. It's always weird to me. Whatever. That's a whole different discussion about sanctity of life. Yeah. From there, he meets this woman randomly that he knew from television as well. He watched her cooking show. Which also, I think there is an implication there that he might have just beat off to his daughter.
I think,
yeah, because it shows him like getting off to like dancing, but it could be any woman in that state of mind. So you never find out, but that's something that is easy to imagine. Unfortunately,
I mean, I think that there's a thing later that's like, we thought they were going to be together the final day. Like, they mention that when they're talking. Yeah. And I think that maybe that detail kind of implies that Odaisu was already kind of ready, you know, in a way, like, he had a relationship in some weird way. So, yeah, it's not like a great... There was
something already there. But then that could also just be seen as something already being there because she's his daughter.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, from there, she is introduced as like a romantic character.
She's like a kind of like a reverse femme fatale. Like, she's not mysterious at all. She's very like bubbly and like along with the ride kind of.
Actually, wait, hold on. I'm pretty sure before this happened, there was the scene where he fights the like group of guys, right?
Oh yeah.
Because I remember after he fights when he fights the guys, he says like, "Okay, does this work? Did all of my training that worked in TV come to real life?" Which you could also see as part of the greater metaphor as his training actually coming to use in real life, which was just such a fucking cool scene.
Yeah, it's a great action scene. Every time this movie decides to be an action scene.
I think that was the first, like, earnestly super, like, cool thing that happened. Because, like, everything before it had like, a twinge of, like, weirdness, you know, bizarreness to what we were seeing. But that was the first point at which it was like, oh, that's so cool, dude.
I mean, I thought it was really cool when he was pissing in a police station. I was like, that's the type of person I want to be.
Hell yeah. And that's goals.
Like, that's a rebel right there.
Yeah, that's my hero. That's our main character. And then anyway, that line was then called back to when he I don't know, tries to force himself onto this woman, and he's like, well, it does not. I do not get training for that from TV.
That's the moment when I think it's a good moment because it is so clear that, like, one, you're not completely supposed to sympathize with Odaisu. Like, you're supposed to he's obviously a broken person and you should feel bad for him for that, but, like, you're not supposed to be like, let's go, dude, like, you get your revenge, like, you know, get the girl. And then, like, you're also, I think it tells you she's also a broken person, that after that she's like, I took you home, you know, for a reason, but just wait a minute, like, which is such a disturbing thing too. And it's
a strange connection they have. Like, it's like such it's such a not romantic connection, because like they will just like he'll just abandon her like multiple times, and put her into horribly dangerous situations.
It's one of the least romantic movies ever.
Just a terrible date movie.
It's a great family movie, though.
Yeah, great family film. Dude, have you ever seen The Piano Teacher?
The Haneke movie? Is that how you say his name? I haven't seen it.
Okay, never mind. We'll watch that one another time. I watched that with my parents. That was...
Oh, God.
Anyway. Sorry, yeah. I kind of forget what happens after that. Or, like, exactly in what order.
Does he
just go straight to the... Or no, he doesn't find the building until he does the dumplings first.
Yeah, he I believe he sees the chat room. There's, like, that weird scene where, like, she has a chat room and she's chatting with Woo Jin. And I think I think that's when the dumplings happen. I
remember he got the...
and he finds out his daughter is elsewhere. That's another thing.
Yeah, it all sort of happens fast. Yeah, he sees Woo Jin on the chat room. He knows to start looking for... I don't know, where he can start getting clues as to where he is from all of the different Blue Dragon dumpling places, because that's... he got some, like, scrap of the label, but then it turns out in a comedic twist that it was a place called Purple Blue Dragon, which I thought was funny and completely forgot about until rewatching.
Yeah, it's just, like, a detail that's like, hey, we're gonna, like, make you suffer a little bit more. Like, I feel like from Park's end, like, you know what? Like, you can use a little bit more of a setback.
Also, I think this film knows where... like, and why people get uncomfortable, and he knows that people will get uncomfortable more when it's something that, like, you can more easily sympathize with. So, like,
right,
you know, being in prison for 15 years is something so crazy that nobody could even begin to imagine what that truly feels like. But something like being forced to eat the exact same food every single day for 15 years and then forcing yourself to eat it even longer is, like, something that is sort of like, oh God, that's just so awful to think about. Or, like, I've always been more grossed out by people getting, like, cut by, like, swords and knives and stuff in movies than, like, delimbed or shot or whatever, because, like, that always just freaks me out and, like, gives me a visceral reaction.
It's teeth stuff for me. That's the
thing. I was gonna bring that up, is the teeth stuff. I would imagine.
I mean, but we'll get to that. Effect. I feel.
Yeah. So he goes through all of those, eventually finding the right place, and then is it just, like, was he just imprisoned in, like, the Purple Blue Dragon, like, building?
No, he followed the delivery man. That's
yes, right. That's what it was.
And then he found the 7th and a half floor, and that's yeah.
By pressing the things at the same time. I like how that came back. That was a fun little like Uncharted mini game. Yeah. You know.
This would thinking about this would be an interesting video game. Like, I feel like I don't think they should do it, because I feel like that, you know, movie adaptations of video games are reverse, whatever. But, like, I like an Arkham style, like, I don't know, that would be interesting.
Yeah, it's a wild ride. You are fully, like, with him, and then that is where you get he gets the hammer. Where, I forget exactly where he gets the hammer, but that is when they
never explain it. I think he just finds it. It's just on the ground.
Yeah, I guess so. It appears. And then, you get the iconic shot of the, like, red dotted line from the love it so much. Hammer end to the forehead, which is...
It's like a Godard movie. Like, it's it's so, like, playful and fun. Yeah.
He gets more information out of that guy by pulling his teeth out, and I think he looks through some recordings, or, like, his own...
He finds the the phone call tape that...
Oh, yes, because he was called earlier by Woo Jin. And then from there he... Oh, shit.
Finds his way out. The hallway runner.
He did, yeah. And then you get your iconic...
Yeah.
Wait, I can't figure out, like, the series of events after this.
It's crazy, because if this is, like, the halfway point. Like, I feel like it feels like the first half hour, but everything is just so evenly spaced. Like, this is halfway. Yeah, it is really. And so, like, after this, I mean, he obviously, there's the great cut of him, like, he sees more guys on the elevator, then he rides it down and just walks out.
That was really fun,
yeah. I feel like...
fighting sequence is obviously iconic.
Yeah. I think after this is when he goes back to the house, and then...
is that when they have sex?
Shows... no, that's in the motel later. This is when Woo Jin shows up and, they meet for the first time?
Yes, and then when Mi-do is then, like, I guess captured.
Yeah.
While he is distracted and talking, because that's also when that's when Woo Jin, like, establishes his character to both the audience and the protagonist as, like, this, like, mastermind and the puppet master behind it all, and
in a bucket hat, which is I forgot about. It's so funny.
He does look kind of fly. I'm not lying. He does look kind of fly. So he gets the opportunity to kill him, but he knows that, like, he gets the, like, we just want to know why out of the way. You know what I mean? Because that, like, I think otherwise, if it wasn't, like, kind of gotten out of the way early, then it would be, like, a dramatic plot point a dramatic point for his character arc to be like, oh, but do I want to know, or do I just want to know why?
Right.
Or do I want to, whereas they kind of just, like, and
now that you say it, like, we were talking earlier about how revenge movies kind of feel like one note in a lot of ways. I think the way this one works so well, and the way a lot of this trilogy works so well, is that they're more mystery movies. Like, it's less just, this person hurt me, I'm gonna hurt them too. Like, it is very much, it's not, we know he's gonna get revenge, so we're focusing on why, he needs to get revenge.
Yeah, there's always more information to uncover and unfold as it goes along. It's a constantly unfolding series of horribly traumatic events, and then he gets his ass kicked again. He tries to beat up a bunch of people.
That's the one scene that I don't love, just because, like, I think that the main complaint, and this is something I know Park has even talked about, is that, like, he regrets the way Mi-do is treated as a character.
Yeah.
And I think generally, like, I understand for the movie, and it's, like, it makes sense for the rest of it. But this scene, like, I feel like the fact that she's topless, it just feels gratuitous and, like, male-gazy in a way that he definitely improves on. That's the main thing that really holds this movie back for me, for being, like, top 10 all-time status.
I am aware that when he filmed The Handmaiden, for the scenes that had... for the sex scenes with the two women, he and also every other male person on the crew at that point had exited the room, and it was all cool. Women in the room while it was being filmed, and when they weren't, like, actually rolling, the cameras were, like, pointed down, and so it is good to know that he is at least, like, again, like,
and
a way that he's
matured on everything.
Yeah. So he was
like, sense this, so. And then even with Lady Vengeance immediately after this, it's like he's like, okay, well, I need to, make a movie
Girls
about
get it
a woman.
Done.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Lady Vengeance is, like, that movie is not about getting the vengeance. It's like, how long are we gonna do the vengeance for?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That whole movie too is such a fun, interesting twist on the, like, revenge story, because it involves all these different whatever. That's not
it's like 12 Angry Men for, like, the next year.
This movie is like his perfect blue, where it's, like, the most that he goes for it, but also, like, his most famous and critically acclaimed in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So. I wonder, like, I think The Handmaiden has gotten to a point, just because, like, it feels like a movie that kind of, people are like, oh, I like Parasite, what other movie should I watch? And they Google The Handmaiden, is probably the first thing that comes up. So I think that one is maybe getting to an even level, especially, like, in online circles.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. Because that one was also a lot more recent. That was 2016.
For sure, yeah.
Not nominated for a single Oscar. I don't think.
No, which is insane.
Neither was Decision to Leave. And neither was
even more insane.
Last year.
Yeah. Like Nope. Okay, the thing with Nope is at least give it sound design and VFX.
It was a fucking American movie too. So like they saw it. And they want to be more like diverse and progressive, and they want to be like, we like black people, so like, oh god,
and they nominated Us, I think, right? Like, wasn't Us nominated for screenplay?
I don't know.
It might not. I don't think it was actually. But that was 2019 too, so that would have been a lot more stuff. Never mind.
Yeah. Anyway, so the story continues. So it goes on. I forget where from that point, actually.
Yeah, I think at this point, like, we get a lot more of Woo Jin, like, just in his office. I mean, Odesu, like, meets his old friend, and they, like, try to figure out, like, Evergreen. That's the one thing, and they figure out Evergreen Oldboys.
Oh, right, yes. Oh, fuck, yeah, I forgot. Okay, yeah. In the computer... Are there a lot of computer cafes in, like, Korea? Because there's also a scene with a computer cafe in Decision to Leave, and there's also a scene with a computer cafe in Parasite, and I don't know if that's more of, like, a cultural thing in Korea.
Yeah, I think in East Asia there's a lot of... Because I know in China, for sure, there's a lot of computer cafes.
Huh. Yeah, I've been to one once.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Anyway, yeah, they get the actual name of the namesake of the film, which is an interesting namesake, because it's like you can't really explain it. It doesn't really have a strong ring to it. I guess it is the one thing connecting Odesu and Lee Woo-jin. That's what connects them from their past. So.
And I do know, like, the manga is named Oldboy, so I'm sure there's maybe more of a significance in the manga. Rather,
that would make sense. Yeah. If it was expanded upon their, like, pasts, or if there was, like, more to their past, or more to, why the... Yeah, or no, you said the why of it all was original anyway, so...
At least the twist was. I know the twist was original, so, like, the reason he let him out was, I don't know why he put him in, that might have been more similar, but, like...
Okay, yeah. Because maybe that was, I don't know, that could have been expanded upon, but even then, I like how simple it is in the film. I kind of love how, like... horrible and fucked up and over the top it is, despite it being such like a relatively unimportant,
it reminds me of Oppenheimer, kind of like, just like, you have this guy who does not care about anything, doesn't care about this other guy at all, and Woo Jin's just in the corner like, oh my god, I hate Odesu, I hate him so much, I mean, that's a trope.
Incel seething.
Yeah.
He's a bit of an incel.
They all kind of are incels in this movie.
Yeah. Dude, so I'm getting ahead of myself here. At that point, he makes the connection, and then he does just, like, go back to the school, or does he, like, abandon Mito first?
So, they have to have sex. That happens before he like goes into his head, I think.
And then you also get the image of of him in the gas mask, which is also something I completely forgot about.
Oh yeah, that's
a funny thing, but also maybe a little bit more over the top than some of the other stuff in the film.
So, like, it's interesting because it feels like it's positioning him as, like, a weird, like, voyeur to their, like, which he is to their relationship, but then, like, when he lays in the bed as, like, a third party, it's just it's a bizarre detail.
Yeah, and I also like the camera pulling back to reveal his, like, assistant guy. I don't know what his deal was. He was a fun little mini boss.
Mm-hmm. I mean, his hair is just incredible. Yeah, everyone's hair in this movie is kind of insane.
Really, the style is just incredibly early 2000s. Love it. Yeah. She has a beret on in the final scene, I think.
Oh my god.
I think so. Something like that. Anyway, do you think that it's like Reputation sort of precedes it a little bit? Like, do you think that its reputation is a little bit too, like, much?
Like, in terms of quality or, like, content?
In terms of, like, do you think that there are people who are just, like, going in with the wrong idea that it's just going to be, like, a gross out movie that, like, you know, you put on at, like, a party or something? Because I don't know. That happens sometimes, and it's just, like, unfortunate, but, like, that's just how people are, so whatever.
I think, so, like, especially with, like, I think a term that's not constructive, but, like, with, like, the film bro type, like, community, I think it is very much the, like, this movie's so messed up, dude, like, you're never gonna, but, like, and I don't think it deserves that reputation. Like, the same with something like Pink Flamingos or whatever. I think
I watched
with
Pink
Transgression, that's, I did too. It's a great movie.
I do love that film. But, watching that one, I was, like, a little bit, you know, underwhelmed with its, like, visceralness.
I mean, they killed chickens on screen. That one's pretty crazy.
And then apparently they cooked and ate the chicken afterwards. So that's nice, but that's not what this is about. We'll talk about that on another episode sometime for sure.
Yeah,
I own that on Blu-ray, so that'll be. I will pull that one out and watch it with my parents sometime.
I bought that.
Never mind. Actually, no, I was just thinking about it. No, I won't.
Yeah, that one I don't know if is a great parent watch.
Okay. So this is the point at which he starts, like, he goes to the high school that he came from. I guess it's summertime or whatever, or a weekend. I forget actually what day it is. Oh yeah, I totally forgot to mention. There is, like, a ticking clock element put into the film.
Yes, yeah.
By Woo Jin, who's like, you have a week to solve the case. You have a week. It's not even.
I think it's 5 days.
Oh yeah, it is. It says 5 days of vengeance. Yeah. You got 5 days to figure it all out. So, you know, and then I guess he kills himself, or.
So no, because 5 days, and he'll kill. Boy's blanking on her name. His not daughter, definitely not his daughter. What's her name?
Oh, Mido.
5 days, or if he figures it out, he'll kill himself. If he doesn't, he'll kill her.
Okay, yeah. So there is that, and then he does, like, figure out his connection to Woo Jin. He said before. Oh yeah, it was when he gets into a taxi. He was being followed, and he leans in the window and says, "You just talk too much." Or it was either that or when he was on the cell phone calling him, when he says, "You just talk too much." But that's all he knew about it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was one of those. And then that's when he's at the high school and he figures out his connection. They went to the same high school. He was peeking on him. He was peeping Tom, and then started a rumor about it.
And it wasn't even really a rumor. He was just kind of like, oh yeah, I saw people having sex in that room. And his friend was the one who's like, oh my god, it was her? And he's like, yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. And then, also, actually, speaking of that friend, he gets killed, I think, in that very scene when, when he's called up, and then, he says something.
Later, actually.
Doesn't he, like, say something to, like, set off Woo Jin? Or was it
he calls his sister a slut, I believe is what he says.
Oh, yep. Okay, yeah, that's what. Because they piece it together. And then after that is when he goes to make the final kill, I believe.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not forgetting.
That's
anything.
When he puts. I don't think you're forgetting anything, because that's when he puts Mido in. The cell that he was in, which is of course a very it may be obvious, but it is a good, like, you know, ironic, sad turn for the worst, I guess, because he's like, gotta protect her. So I mean, it's the, like, vengeance is a cycle. He was put in a cell for someone getting revenge on him. Now he's putting someone in a cell getting revenge on someone else. It's
it's even hurting the people that he wants to love. And then then we see one of the craziest climaxes in all of cinema. Just like unparalleled, unbridled fucking insanity.
It's
we do then find out the meaning and purpose behind all of this, and how Woojin has been controlling everything.
Right.
That basically just being that he was banging his sister, and he didn't want to. He didn't like those rumors being spread, or those true rumors being spread. Well,
yeah.
and
then she kills herself because she has a phantom pregnancy. That's the thing that I think sets him off to get Odesu in the jail.
Yeah, and so he captures him, and then and then it is.
He reads a photo book.
Oh yes. Well, he's figuring this all out. He's figuring out the kicker, the cherry on top, through the photo book, when he figures out that Mido is his daughter grown up.
And which is such a great visual thing.
In a little in a purple present box.
Yes.
That Mido also gets one, and he tells her on the phone to not open it up, which she never actually does.
Yeah,
right?
And she doesn't. Yeah, and it's disturbing because you can hear the difference in his voice that he's talking to her.
Oh my god!
Like he's his daughter when on the phone. It's such a
great
gross
performance.
He's incredible in this movie.
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned the performances yet, but my god, is it? It is like the perfect level of intensity and. So yeah, that's all figured out in this beautiful high class fucking penthouse. What does Woojin do for a job? What's his like?
I think that he's on the phone at one point. He's just like someone's like, the investors are getting angry, and he's like, I don't care, and then he walks.
Yeah, you're right.
It's it's nothing. It's not
typical
specified.
Businessman.
Yeah, I think he just got rich so he could do this. Like that's always the impression
that I believe that. Yeah, in this beautiful mansion, he puts on a song, and when Odesu is in his rambling, or actually, okay, before that happens, he pulls out this little device that was said to stop Woojin's heart that he told him about earlier. And it doesn't do anything. It's actually just a laser pointer, which is...
And it starts the audio of them having sex.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So,
That's a great use of the tapes as well, which is something that, had come up previously multiple times. It's just, another reinforcement of, I know everything.
And he's bugged. We forgot to mention there's a point when he realizes he's bugged, and he goes and tries to get that. Yeah, which is the shot where he's holding it up at the camera, which I feel like is a fairly
I do remember that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in his bartering, he cuts off his tongue. And then he kind of in this realization, he kind of loses it seems like, at least not all, but he loses a lot of the drive to kill Woojin, and is mainly just concerned about his own reality at this point.
Yeah, I think, because he wants nothing. He just doesn't want her to open the box.
Yeah.
He's just don't.
He's cursed with.
Yeah.
With an unforgettable, horrible curse. Which oh wait, wasn't there also a rumor that Woojin killed his sister?
Was that
part of the rumors?
Odesu saw the picture of her on the bridge and thought that's what happened. I don't think that was a part of the rumor. I think that was just something he put together, but I mean, that wasn't true. Yeah.
Sorry, taking a sip of water here.
Yeah.
And he cuts out his tongue. He never even gets to kill him. He fucking shoots himself in the head in the in the elevator before he goes down, which is also just such an iconic shot, I think, as well. The image of him putting up the little pea shooter up to his head. That's definitely me on the average Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, he's listen. You can say a lot about him, but he's really like he's admirable, you know, because he's really dedicated to his job of torturing this guy, and
absolutely
he closes. He sticks to his goals. He said he was going to kill himself if he figured it out. Listen, what did he do? He killed himself when he figured it out. So like Woo Jin, you got to respect him.
Yeah, and at that point he has all he has to do now is brainwash, or not brainwash, but hypnotize himself, or get himself hypnotized to forget what he has learned so that he can be with Mido.
Which is like, listen, I understand he's a broken guy. That's just like objectively the worst solution to that problem. Like, yeah. I think it's the final thing of like, this guy is still kind of just a selfish asshole who went through all this crazy stuff and is this crazy John Wick character or whatever, but he is, at the end of the day, still a fundamentally kind of shitty person. Like,
I agree, but I also think it's kind of easy for us to say that, right?
Well, I mean, like, yeah.
if Mido knew the reality too, it's like, what would she do at that point? Like,
yeah,
what would she?
I mean,
obviously she wouldn't want to be with him anymore, but it's like,
right.
I don't think that she would want to hypnotize herself to forget this, you know? She wouldn't want to sacrifice reality for fucking, you know, being in love with her dad.
Yeah, I mean, what he should have done is he probably should have just left. Like, or killed himself. Like, I feel like, even though that's unfair to her, like...
You should kill yourself now.
Yeah. They should have dueled.
Yeah,
that is the funny thing, is that it feels like it's building up to a duel.
It's what?
Yeah. It feels like it's building up to this like big duel, and it just ends with him being like just a broken person, and he doesn't even fight Woo Jin. It's yeah,
he does get to fight the assistant though. That's fun. It's a fun little like mini boss. I think that's also while Woo Jin's explaining the story, so he gets that time to give his villain monologue.
Yeah.
And then you're left with just the most fucking broken, horrible shit possible, and and that's Oldboy.
That's Oldboy. I mean, I don't know about like obviously Odesu is his name. When I'm referring to him, I refer to him as Oldboy. Like just a short. I'm like, yeah, it's Oldboy. He's, you know.
So what does Oldboy, the title name, really mean in this example,
I think
or in this
film? It's like a student society, like alumni or whatever, but like for specifically like Catholic men, I think.
Does he ever say that he is a student of television or something along those lines? Because maybe it's like, if that I mentioned before that it's like in the imprisonment he has like a rebirth as a person, so maybe that's like the television was like his religion. Oh, he does mention television is your entertainment and your school and your church and your porno or whatever.
Yeah, and he mentions lessons too, like
So that is, I guess, also that ties together. Yeah, this is one of my favorite movies ever. God damn it, it's it may not be like perfect in every single way, but it is so important to me, and like,
for sure,
it's, you just can't go wrong with it. It is also, I have here the 73rd highest rated film of all time on IMDb and the 50th highest rated of all time on Letterboxd.
Yeah,
so it seems most people
I think it's such like, it's one of the first foreign films that most people see, especially one of the most non-European. Like Asian cinema. It's like that or Parasite, probably, I guess. I think Parasite probably has taken it over more now, since that's just such a big phenomenon.
I also saw that one in theaters when it came out. That was also one of the most important movies. Whatever.
I was dumb at the time, and I was like, I don't want to see that. I don't read. And I never watched it.
Yeah, I wasn't going to. I only watched it because my dad had heard about it, and he was like, "Oh, I heard this is really good." And I was like, "All right, sure, I'll go in completely blind."
Wow.
So that was fun.
I watched that on a plane, which is
cool.
Not maybe the best plane movie.
That's anyway. Oldboy, 10 out of 10.
I think I'd agree.
Score.
On a second watch, I definitely, it's a pretty perfect, like, not perfect culturally, I would say. Like, there's definitely some, like, quote-unquote problematic elements. But, like, as a movie and as a, like, piece of filmmaking, I think it's pretty perfect.
Yeah. It makes my top 10. It's my favorite Park Chan-wook's. It's a film that, I'm assuming anyone who's still listening has seen. I don't need to fucking say why, but yeah, I think this was a good discussion. I think
I do too.
Yeah, it's so cool to go back and see how far Park as a director has come,
for
and
sure,
as a storyteller, and even still appreciating the aspects of his newer films, still being able to enjoy those older movies so much, because you have a director like I don't know, I'm trying to think of who's like a director whose like newer films are just like entirely better than their older directors.
I would say compared to his debut, PTA is kind of an example of that. Like, it's like not. I watched it recently. I really liked it, but it's
like Stanley Kubrick didn't really make
Kubrick,
a masterpiece until like some would say Paths of Glory, some would say whatever.
Yeah.
Paths of Glory was his first like big critical success.
I think The Killing was maybe.
The Killing was good. That was fun.
Yeah, Orson Welles loved The Killing. That's the one thing I know. He was like, "This is the best movie ever," and which is always so surprising.
But also, Kubrick didn't write that one. Anyway, point is, you can still watch Park's older films and appreciate them for what they were, while also still appreciating all of the ways that he has improved.
Yeah, he's a guy who really puts in the work as a director. Like he never is someone who feels like he's doing something for a payday or easily. Like he's always.
Totally. He never did one for them.
No.
He's always got one for himself. And I couldn't be more thankful. I'm so excited to see whatever he does next. That series,
for sure.
That's wild, man. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, I don't want to get my hopes too high, but how can I not?
It's gonna, I'm excited to see RDJ in anything now.
Yeah, after Oppenheimer, dude. That was the best film that he's ever been in. He was completely right when he said that.
Yeah. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang's pretty good, but I don't think like he's that's an incredible movie. I think
I haven't seen that, which I believe does make the AFI Top 100. If I'm not wrong.
That's wow. I'm
surprising. Joking.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were being sarcastic. Wait, is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang a good movie?
No, it is a pretty good movie. I don't like.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just know the name,
Nice Guys
and I just sort of assumed that it was made by the name.
No, it's Shane Black who did The Nice Guys and all those scripts.
Yeah, that was a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I think The Nice Guys is the better version of it, but it's fun.
Cool. Yeah, well, I'm not going to be a pretentious Andy. Thank you all for listening through this unless you have more to say, I guess. I'm not going to...
No, I don't think so. I think Oldboy, good movie. That's
a good movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Good boy. Thank you for listening to this proto episode. Do we want to do like a recommendation thing for another episode? Because I had a lot of fun. I want to record again.
Yeah, I totally record again. I know we were talking about doing Bottoms for another episode.
Yes, because that is coming to theaters.
It is. Have you seen Shiva, Baby?
No, I shouldn't. So I'll watch that one in prep as well. Well, we'll do that one next episode then. How fun for whatever this ends up being called. I like the name MacGuffin Movie Club because it has a little, alliteration to it, and because it's already associated with the MacGuffin brand. But who knows? Anyway, thank you for listening. Watch Bottoms if you don't want to be spoiled for next episode's discussion. It may or may not be in theaters in whichever city you're in.
It's getting wide soon, so I think...
Oh, is it really? Okay, cool,
It's
cool.
US wide, it's not international, which is the shame of it, but yeah.
I see, yeah. I don't know why China wouldn't want to have that movie.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, they love the gays.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thank you all for listening. Goodbye. We'll do more of these, and it's not going to be a failed podcast like all the other ones.